dealing a lot of damage. Should be going to the mineral line, and in fact, he will go ahead, pull it down there. A turret is being made. If he can kill off that SCV, going to be very nice, but just killing off any SCV at this point is getting him way far ahead.
Yep, and he's denying this missile turret as much as he can. He actually should just be able to kill this off. Meantime, MMA wants to go for a counter attack, but I believe, yeah, Photon Overcharge should be able to push that away quite easily. And double Forge on the way, Robo Bay, Patience, he's pretty much, yeah, he pretty much already won this game.
Yeah, this is not something you come back from as Terran. When the Protoss commits these DTs, if they do damage like that, that's basically going to be it. Now, he is going to try to get some damage done here with this Marine Drop, but it's not going to do anything. GG, Patience taking game number 1 with a kind of anachronistic build.
Yeah, I really get the feeling that MMA, after running his Reaper in, was more focused on perhaps getting that Widowmine burrow than he was the actual Scout, because you see the Twilight Council, you know, once it's out of your vision, it's hard to tell if it was upgrading something when you look at it. You know, it's not like a Gateway or a Stargate where you can still check what it was doing. In this instance, he just thinks, oh, okay, he was probably getting Blink because that's something that Patience does. He's done this in almost every series I've ever played against him.
Well, that's what PVT is right now, right? If you're not going for an Oracle, you're oftentimes going for Blink. You know, it's too bad that he didn't get to figure that out. But I think, like I was saying before, this is a best of 5. MMA is very reactive. DTs aren't going to work on him again, I don't think.
No.
But, I mean, the fear is there, right? So he may have to add an extra turret early on, which can give Patience a little edge going forward.
Yeah, it opens the door for Patience to just play really standard or try some sort of wild move like we talked. And I'm very interested to see what our Protoss player does, but he's definitely got a very strong Terran opponent in the form of Acer's MMA, who's in the top right. Very interested to see what the Protoss player is going to do here, the Artosis. We saw a lot of Blink out of him last year. He's, of course, recently joining Dead Pixels. The blue Protoss player got a nice 1-0 lead off the back of that Dark Templar opening. He is Patience. And I think it was either through the team that Patience played for or where he might have actually spent some time living in Europe, but I think he was even playing in the EPS. He's playing in quite a few European tournaments, and as far as I'm aware, like, that's not an easy one to get into if you're not actually German.
Yeah,
so
I think you actually have to live in Germany to play an EPS, if I recall correctly.
Both of these guys have had a nice amount of involvement with the European scene. MMA, of course, having quite a bit more success this year with his World Championship Series Europe titles, and making it to second place at BlizzCon. But Patience, maybe not having as much of that spotlight on you gives him a feeling where he's like, yeah, I think I can get away doing some stuff that maybe I practice, but people don't see because I just don't play that many broadcasted games.
Absolutely, and I think that's how you have to play, because MMA is obviously getting all these advantages by playing on the stage a lot. He's getting a lot of practice under this pressure. Whereas, Patience, he's kind of just chilling, and like last second found out that he was coming here. It was just they played those matches like, what was it, a week ago or something? So didn't have a long time to prepare, but this might just be like a stock build he uses from time to time in matches. So kind of cool to see him do it that way.
Yeah. And it's always cool to see that kind of stuff. It's the kind of things that you always worry about when you're playing on the ladder, especially. MMA, once again, with the amount of gas that he's been mining, it looks like past this Reaper expand, it's going to be another factory build. He seems to be liking these quite a bit. MMA's always struck me as the guy that likes it a little bit more than most other Terrans. I don't see too many other people bust this out that often these days.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It goes with his style quite well, though. Very microbull. He can be quite aggressive with it, and it's kind of like a techie opener. I always felt like MMA was a Terran that liked to tech up a little bit quicker and then tech down, you know what I mean? Like add on his macro after the tech, whereas some players like to kind of do a little bit more of the macro into the tech.
Well, his tech is in a weird place this game, Artosis. That is not where you normally build a factory.
Do you think that's for a float or a quick medevac? Or is this just a hidden spot? Because there's actually a pylon up there. And
I'm really not sure. I have to imagine he wanted to float it, because otherwise, like a speed boosted medevac is going to move quickly enough that building it at your base, unless he's going to build the starport there too, in which case...
that's what I was thinking, is maybe that's the case, is he wants to put a starport right there also, but...
I guess it'd probably work better for him, because I don't think that that factory won't get spotted.
It looks like we are going to have Twilight here. No big surprise. Whenever you actually see a Protoss put a pylon on their base in merry-go-round, it's like, I want to say 85% of the time going to be exactly a blink build. But it looks like, in fact, this is going to be a quick Widowmine drop.
Yeah, and this can be really difficult to deal with. That Mothership core actually took some heat, and if it had stayed out on the map any longer, like now it's heading home, it should be able to get back in time to be able to cast a Photon Overcharge. But, you know, I think MMA is kind of recognized with opening mines both games that Patience, as someone who opens Twilight Council, will oftentimes be late on his detection, which I would say that Widowmine kind of got what it was, kind of got the, you know, the return on the investment of building it with a couple of probes it killed, with moving those units around, and in this game, it could get him a nice early lead. The Reaper just barely going to escape these Stalkers, but moving these units out of position is quite nice as that medevac gets close to completing.
This is something that's going to be pretty scary here. The Robo only halfway done. He's going to have those Widow Mines in there well before an Observer, and that's pretty brutal. Is he going DT Shrine again, by the way? He hasn't started Blink yet.
Yeah, this is a little bit peculiar.
It certainly is. I'm waiting for him to make something.
Yeah, he like doesn't have any pylons out on the map, so he can't hide it. But here comes the medevac, and the robotics facility is about to finish up. An Observer immediately starts. Here it comes, going to boost in, drops the Widow Mines. Not yeah, okay, one behind the mineral line, another one by the Subnavix. So he wants to go probably to the natural with this one, and the mine's going to kill single probe.
Yeah, very good defense so far from Patience. Does have the second Widow Mine in that medevac. Going to fly into the natural right now. Looks like he will use the Photon Overcharge, but this Widow Mine definitely going to get a few more kills. Oh, never mind.
Just one. All right, nice pulling away there from Patience. I feel like MMA may have had an opportunity to target fire with that Widow Mine.
I think he could have actually gotten 4 probes with that if he targeted it real quick.
He gets 2 probes and some energy off of the Mothership core in exchange for that medevac, and I don't think that's not exactly what you're looking for, because your tech is also now, you know, displaced, to say the least. That starport has to come all the way back. Stim is only just starting in 8 minutes. With the robotics bay, he's going to have his Colossus out before Stim is even ready, and I think this is a fantastic position for Patience to even just get a late blink off of this Twilight Council.
Look, I think I figured out what's going on here. Like, that Mothership core scouting over, he felt something was wrong. He looked at what he could see. He's like, okay, I actually need to get the Observer out. I'm not going to spend extra money on anything else right now. I just got to make sure I defend this. And he's transitioning very, very well. And yeah, it's like, yeah, you bought a Twilight Council you didn't use, but that's completely fine because he can still get Blink with that. He can go Blink Colossus, and that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, when the Mothership core comes in and you see that reactor barracks, like, you normally start your second or third barracks before that reactor's even done as a Terran against Protoss. So seeing, oh, you just have this, well, whatever you have, it's probably not in your base, and you're not likely to proxy your Stim building barracks outside. So it's actually a very smart read from Patience. And I think a lot of Protoss players could very easily miss out on it and be like, oh, yeah, he's about to add on 2 racks.
It's not 2012 anymore. You don't just go for a reactor out of the blue. But it looks like he is going to go ahead, grab some defensive photon cannons and whatnot, make his Colossus. He's getting that +1 armor as well. Everything looking very good for him. Of course, MMA still building up his infrastructure a bit, getting all of his upgrades. And it looks like this game is going to go like quite normal for the map.
Yeah, so the cool thing about this, I think, for Patience is that MMA has not really had an opportunity, based on the way that this game started, to set himself up for what he really likes to do, which is a fast third command center. And a lot of the games that I've seen him play against Protoss recently, in a series he played against Stardust, like, he always tried to squeeze out that third CC as quickly as he could, but because Patience is already gearing up to go for what could be a massive attack with his Colossi coming out, with his upgrades finishing soon, like, MMA kind of has to stay on his back foot, and that opens the door for a little bit of a contain from Patience, which could allow him to actually get his own third base, which he's trying to do right now.
Well, that third base, I don't foresee this going well for him, Nathanius. We already have the 5 racks up for MMA. So even though he's got his Colossus out with very good timing, he doesn't have Blink quickly. He's going to have I don't think that against a player of MMA's caliber, with the way that he does medevac harassment, I don't think he can hold the third and also not take severe damage in his main.
Yeah, MMA has actually quite a few units spread out to watch for anything coming his way. Kind of spread actually pretty close to where the Observers are. And as he moves towards the center map, like, being able to shove him away like this is like the strongest move that Patience can make, because if MMA gets that 5 barracks production for just a few more minutes and he can spread his forces out with how open this map is, force fields really aren't going to cut it. He only has 3 sentries and only a couple, yeah, even the Guardian Shield is going to take away some of them. He recalls, realizing MMA already has a very well spread out force. And
well, you know, he knows he's weak right now, taking this third, so he tried to defend by being offensive, but what ended up happening is a slight delay into having to use Photon Overcharge, which is a very important, or use up energy that would have been a Photon Overcharge. And that's kind of very important right now because he is so spread out.
Yeah, I mean, if MMA comes in, forces the rest of the energy off of that Mothership core, or dives on that third base, then it opens the door for drops later on. And I mean, this is one of those maps where dropping is a big deal. And yes, MMA's like, yeah, Nate, I know. Load up 4 medevacs.
That's exactly what he was like.
Yeah. Terrans are telepathic like that.
Yeah.
But he does have very well-placed observers, so he should be able to spot this as Zealot's going to try to keep this proxy pylon alive. Blink is finishing up, which is nice. He's actually going to get his Templar Archives in. So this kind of feels, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it to Templar quickly enough if MMA brings this aggression soon. He really needs to be powering out units, I feel, right here.
Yeah, this is kind of a hard one. I feel like we're going to see some Kier-style play here from MMA where he just ignores Stalkers and kills them because his medevacs have Marauders in them. But we will see. It looks like he's going for the Stalkers, I do believe, are in the main base of Patience right now.
The Observers saw the big drop. There's a lot of Stalkers. Actually, that one Colossus there as an anchor is really nice. Otherwise, as you said,
really smart.
Just a handful of Marauders from a medevac drop will just slaughter Stalkers. And he's recognizing there's actually not that much support on the Colossus itself. The Bio Army is spread out pretty damn well. The force fields are going to come in, though, and they're locking him away. He actually can't get on top of the Colossi. Picks off just the one at the edge. 2, though, still with that extended thermal lance and the +1 upgrade finishing up. Should be enough. Well, they're actually getting quite dangerously close here. On the right side. I'm not sure what Patience is doing with his Colossi.
That was a misclick for sure. Losing those 2 Colossi, he did not have to lose those like that. And
that's a game-losing mistake right there.
Yeah, he was actually holding that brilliantly. That was like a fantastic defense by him with those force fields. But now we see he's in a lot of trouble. Losing those 2 Colossi, they could have done like way more damage to this army and pushed it back quite easily.
Yeah, he had the Colossus at his natural ramp too, and now it's just a single Colossus against 5 barracks production, rallying down across the map. That Colossus is very weak. Another one pops out, but without any sentries or zealots, you can't stop him from getting on top of your army anyway.
Now the probe's having to be pulled right now. Looks like he will lose another Colossus. The other one's so low, that should be going down soon. Oh, it actually does stay alive.
MMA is stimming quite a bit. That other Colossus, he pilled off like 2 Marines to try to kill it. Not the ideal forces. And Patience does have his 3rd Nexus, but I feel like he's lost too many of his like expensive units.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You know, he lost all of his sentries. He lost almost every Colossus. The one he has left is very low on health. You know, if he had Gut and Psystorm, I would feel a bit better for him because he does have the Templar Archives. It would be like the splash he needs in this emergency situation, but he didn't, so he just has to make some Archons, get out as much splash, as much tanking as he can. But look at the supply.
Yeah, the supply really tells the story. MMA's had this production going for such a long time, and he has so much available to him. I think he's had that 3rd base nice and saturated for a while. He has those mules powering away, and Patience is just trying to squeeze out everything that he possibly can. But you said it, without Storms, like MMA doesn't even need to think about building Ghosts. Nice pick up here with the Stalkers, just trying to grab what Patience can, and he will try to grind this one out. But another important thing to note is that MMA's done pretty well with his upgrades too. So a Terran player on equal upgrades, I think, is always favored in a direct engagement versus a Protoss that doesn't have both Colossi and Storm.
Yeah, I will definitely agree with you on that. And not only does he not have both Colossi and Storm, does he even have a sentry? He doesn't have a single sentry in there, so the zoning is going to be very hard. His tanking units include 3 Archons and 2 Zealots, and that is just, you can't stay alive with that.
Even if he had Zealot, if he had more Zealots, he doesn't have Charge. He hasn't even started Charge, the Zealots would be, you know, pretty useless, so you could just stutter step away and pick up most of his army. So now he's going to warp in 3 sentries, but they don't have that much energy, so he needs time. And even this Ghost Academy, like MMA is just, you know, he's tightening up all the possible loose ends, and he's saying, okay, maybe he'll have an Archon or 2, maybe there'll be Immortals to my Marauders, whatever the case, I'm going to have Ghosts, I'm going to have EMP, and I don't really need to think about what army composition you're going for, because I have everything I need. 5 Ghosts immediately queued up when that Academy finished.
Yeah, this game right now, the chances for Patience are basically just MMA taking a kind of bad engagement. Like, MMA has to attack into a choke. He has to not be able to kill off these Colossus somehow, despite the fact he has 10 Vikings. Yeah, some over-stimming. Those are the type of things that Patience is waiting for, but he's giving himself the opportunity to capitalize on something like that. So I do like the way that he's trying to approach this.
Yeah, Patience will have, I think he needs to win a fight decisively, but you know, he's only going to get 1 fight if he loses this. He's not going to be able to reel back like he did from the previous one and try to recover for another battle. MMA has all the tools necessary to absolutely annihilate this army. He's maxed out on supply. He's actually had just one upgrade because there's no +2 attack for Patience. And charge isn't done yet. So all the zealots that he's warping in right now with that +2 armor are not, they're still not quite the force that you need to actually kill this army.
No, they certainly are not. We'll see how this engagement goes, though. He's brought his SCVs. He's pulled the boys. Here the ghosts go. They look like they want to go up that ramp and maybe get some EMPs off. The Stalker's here to meet him. Nice force fields. I really like that. And he's actually just washing up against this.
Yeah, and I think MMA is saying, like, I don't want to try to kill your third base and give you any time. I want to kill you right now. And that'll be the last of the force fields for Patience as a couple of these units start to trickle through. The Viking count's just too high. Like, picking up the Colossi, it's not something that he can really stop. So all the Colossi just slowly dying here. And, you know, yeah, they've run away, but now they can't shoot the actual army.
He does have Psystorm, but these ghosts are coming up very quickly. Does get a couple storms off. They don't really do what they need, though. He's blinking back, trying to stop these Vikings from killing these Colossi. Absolutely not going to be doable. The probes even getting pulled at this point. A very good attempt by Patience, but it just can't work. And GG, MMA going to go ahead and take game number 2.
Yeah, nice solid play from MMA. His opening really didn't do him any favors, but when I think about where Patience, where things like started to slip a little bit out of control for him, it's actually a little bit tricky because I really feel like the map still played heavily into MMA's favor with that third base, because I don't feel Patience made any glaring errors, or at least nothing stuck out to me in that early phase of the game that really said, like, you shouldn't be able to take a third if this was a map like Overgrowth.
I would say, like, the third, you're very right, but I think it was maybe just slightly greedy to take a third, because I think if you have to, like, really assess your situation. You're playing against MMA, one of the best users of Medivacs, one of the best harassers of Protoss in the game, and you're trying to take the third. Sure, you got the edge with the opening build, but was that enough to let him actually take a third base? And it may have been, because he did kind of misclick with those Colossus in the battle.
Yeah.
I think he could have held that a bit better. So it's a little bit hard to say how that would have gone.
Yeah, I think back to the Colossi, because I really felt like after the initial push, like right before he came in the second time, like after the drop got cleaned up in the main base, he had the one Colossus coming from the natural, he had 2 at the third, and then it looked good. Like, if you don't lose your third to that attack, you're in a great spot.
If he had controlled the 2 Colossi at his third perfectly.
If he pulled them back just a little bit.
Yeah, the thing is, I think he was really focusing on his top army. He actually had a bunch of Blink Stalkers there as well, and he was controlling it very well. He was actually whittling down the army from that side very well. But the other Colossi, when they walked forward so far and were easy pickings, that was an issue. Whereas if he had used the Nexus, used that area, maybe used a warp in there to block units from chasing the Colossus, he may have held that. And if he held that well, he definitely has a big edge.
Yeah, that's very, I definitely agree. I think that the Colossus management during that fight, because the drop really pulled his attention in multiple different ways, made things a bit tricky for him. The third map will be Deadwing. Pretty interesting. This is a map where MMA has, I've seen him do a couple of interesting things, because you have a lot of space. Like if a Protoss wants to get aggressive early on, they do have to go a far way. We've seen quite a few Blink builds from Protoss against Terran on this map also, and those can be pretty strong. And I'd say that kind of falls, you know, right into Patience's playbook. He's opened Twilight Council 2 games in a row. We still haven't actually seen the Blink push yet.
Well, I mean, always Oracle is open as well. Definitely a lot of spots that you can try to hide something like that. But overall, you know, this can give us a really big game. If not too much damage happens early on in their cross spawns or something, it becomes almost impossible to kill each other.
Yeah, that's like the really interesting about the way that MMA plays, because even looking at the last game, you know, if you have a player, if you replace MMA with Pult doesn't build those ghosts. He just keeps cranking out Marauders, spreading out his forces, and, you know, maybe he picks them apart a little bit faster, maybe he takes a little bit longer, goes for more drop play, starts like going for Nexus. But MMA is like not afraid. He's like, it's time to go for ghosts. Like, I will get these. His EMPs, he took one storm during that fight, he EMP'd the other High Templar, and at the same time caught a few of the gateway units. So MMA is not a guy that's scared of those long games against Protoss. Yeah,
he will cross every T, dot every I, do everything he needs to do in that long game. So does this map actually favor him if it goes late like that?
That's, you know, I haven't really seen too many crazy late game TVPs, but I feel that this, the way that the 4 bases are set up, normally you'd think that the Protoss it should be easier for them to bounce between their 4 bases to defend against drop harass. So I like it at that phase for Patience. Once it goes, like, if this game were to go past 4 bases, then I guess things do get tricky, because securing that 5th as Protoss, you know, it's the same problem for Zerg almost, especially with the spawns that we can see these players have.
Absolutely. Well, the game has begun, so we're going to go ahead and jump into it. It is tied up 1-1 right now, so the winner of this will be on match point for the rest of this match.
Yeah, this is coming down to the wire here. Nice tied series, guys, as we are inside of the game. And we have vertical spawns for Deadwing. And our first player in the northwest position, the red Terran, who just did a pretty good job of tying things up after a sloppy game one. From Team Acer, he is MMA. And the Protoss that really likes to open up with Twilight Councils. We'll have to see if he wants to do that, or if he will mix it up on this game. From Team Dead Pixels, he is Patience.
All right. Pretty excited about this one. You know, this map, as you said, the 4 bases is actually pretty easy to defend. You know, if you just don't take early damage, if you hit your transition from Colossi into Storm, you just don't die as Protoss on this map, on 4 bases at least. But as you were saying, MMA is totally willing to go into that supreme late game of TVP. He feels comfortable there. And that could be where he gets Patience if this game does go long like that.
Yeah. Late game TVP, there's like a couple of really weird things that can happen pretty much just on this map too. Like this base that the probe is going by, when Patience in the late game takes this as his 3rd or his 4th, if he loses a fight decisively, MMA can put units under that cliff, pick off probes from the low ground and keep his Vikings in a good spot, and it becomes very difficult to claw back. And on the same, you know, on the other side of the coin, if MMA loses a big fight in Colossi Park behind the mineral line on the low ground for him, like there's
you just
really
can't
great
engage
ways.
it.
Yeah, there's really good ways to punish big mistakes from either player, and I think that kind of, you know, it opens up some interesting opportunities that we probably won't see till later on if the game does go that long, as all of Patience's openers seem to have at least an opportunity to be really, really aggressive in the first 10 or so minutes.
Well, we'll see what he goes for here. I think it just has to do with his comfort level on the map, because I think that both of these players could look at this situation and be like, I feel good in a long game here. You know, like, well, I can get 4 bases as Protoss, and you know, on 4 bases, of course, you can afford anything in the whole entire world as Protoss. And MMA's like, well, I'm just better at late game, so I could do it too. So one of them, though, might say, you know what, I don't want to get in that situation. It can be a little bit tricky, and my opponent obviously is going to have some advantages there, so let's try to finish it early.
Yeah, if you want to use the map to your advantage as Patience, I mean, there's, you kind of mentioned Oracles earlier on. There's a lot of space for them to fly around. There's the Stargate. Patience has got the same idea as you. Artosis, like, yeah, Oracle's can be pretty good on this map.
Yeah, it's a fantastic opening for the map. So I'm glad to see him actually doing it, mixing it up a little bit. And in fact, look at this. He's looking for anything that could be happening, whether it is a proxy Oracle or something like that with that Reaper. But by scouting all up there with the Reaper, it means he's probably not going to find the Oracle, which is in plain sight in Patience's base.
Yeah, I do like this quite a bit. MMA is, you know, you could almost say predictably at this point, going for this factory after his Reaper expand. And I'm really curious as to if he does this because he thinks that switch he made in the last game where he got the really fast Widow Mine while still opening without, actually the first game in the series, like he opened up with the Widow Mines, didn't actually get the Starport and just had them like defensively laid out, like if he's going to go for that, but he's actually going to completely flip it up this game.
Yeah, kind of cool. I like to see it.
It's cool, but he has very little Marine production.
That is right, and I would imagine he's going to go up to 4 Hellions, so it could be an issue.
He could reach MMA's base when his 6th Marine is like halfway done, and if you kill those 5 Marines, then
that's game over.
Then your second Oracle comes in and the game is over.
Well, we'll see. He is sending that Oracle straight up right now. We do have 5 Marines right now for MMA. They aren't in position. In fact, they're moving into position right now, so they are going to that mineral line.
Yeah, so he actually moved the barracks back onto the reactor.
Okay. Just wanted the 2 Hellions then.
Technically delays that 6th Marine even a little bit longer, but the Oracle doesn't, it seems like it's going to be skirting around a little bit too much to pick all of them off.
Maybe being a little bit too careful. Does see the factory here, so he knows he has to watch for Widow Mines. We'll be able to get some pretty significant damage done here. 2 Mules and 3 SCVs, now 4 SCVs. This is already fantastic.
Yeah, Oracle's getting a lot of work done at the same time. Those 2 Hellions just ran straight into Patience's base, forced the Photon overcharge, and picked off 2 probes. Not quite the same trade, but Patience also has this nice comfort zone of being able to say, well, MMA can't really leave his base because he's worried about this attack. If you don't have an engineering bay, it's really risky to leave your base because with 2 oracles, he can also use a Phoenix to really, really complicate things and reveal them, kill them, and that just, just makes life painful. And even this medevac, like, if this gets spotted,
yeah,
oh boy.
Oh god, with that Phoenix moving forward, spotting this medevac with the Phoenix would be absolutely gigantic. And in fact, he's going to, oh my god, a collision course between the two. MMA can not be feeling good about this. This is a terrible situation for him.
This is really rough because now the Oracle can come in and start to pick off a few of these units. Needs to be careful to pull a weakened one back a little bit. That Widow Mine might actually detonate. Nope. So great trade so far from Patience. Just needs to be, just need to be cautious. That's all in the game of life.
Oh, well,
I was going to try to... Whoa.
Okay, I'm actually...
I mean, a Phoenix can normally take a shot from a mine, but not after the Marines peel off all your shields.
Well, that was that part was a little bit sloppy, but still, I would say that this is a very nice opening for Patience. I would definitely feel quite good after this. Yeah,
MMA now is going to start up his 2nd and 3rd barracks. The 2nd and 3rd gateways are on the way, but Blink and +1 armor are coming in. And this, this does not have to be that aggressive Blink that we talk about where you go for 7 gateways and try to crack your opponent open. This is more so, or at least it can be, the defensive play. And I think that medevac is still there. He's like, okay, let's try again. 6 Marines, 1 mine, the dream.
Look, he is making some photon cannons right now, so let's see if he can actually get a cancel on that. I'm not sure he's going to be able to be honest.
Yeah, the mine's going to burrow. The probe's starting to move away, so shouldn't get any big hits, but if you can kill that cannon, like that's always nice. I don't think he'll be able to quite get it though. I'm not sure where the Mothership Core is. Another medevac for MMA. Very heavy on this aggression without having any like Marauders or anything, just Marines and mines.
Well, it looks like this will be cleaned up pretty easily. The second drop does go down. Of course, a photon cannon here as well. Patience is his defense looking pretty strong so far this game. So MMA not getting any real damage done. A probe here, a pylon there, but it's not really doing what it's designed to do.
The tricky part is, though, that Widow Mine actually manages to pick off a Stalker. And the really weird part about all of this is that MMA, with this mine, even just being right here, as he steps forward, he's actually going to kill a Stalker and perhaps 2 sentries. He's really getting a lot more than he should. He might even get this Stalker.
This is actually, like, incredibly messy here from Patience.
Another one down. And he brings his Oracle back as detection since he doesn't have a robotics facility, so that mine will die. But this is actually like really starting to swing in MMA's favor.
Yeah. Patience really with some miscontrol there. You can't lose 2-3 sentries and a couple Stalkers to a little drop like that. It's like an unacceptable loss. And now he's taking additional damage up here. I don't think this drop obviously going to do very much, but MMA has come right back into this. And in fact, I would put him in definitely a lead at this point.
Yeah, and even if, like, you make a really good point, like, Blink is done, so he should be able to catch this medevac. And the second one, well, that's a bit brave.
Well, Nathanius, I mean, this has suddenly turned into a very sloppy game from both players. By the way, the plasma shield's kind of cool to see. You super rarely see that. It looks like it's just going to be a Blink all-in with this. And, of course, for those of you who don't know what this is, it's because it never really happens, but plasma shields, you think theoretically you're blinking away when your shields go away on the Stalkers, so having extra armor on your plasma shields is going to be very useful.
Yeah, and at the end, in the weird, the late game sense of it, if you're trying to defend against drops, it affects everything, including your buildings.
Yeah, that's true.
Shield upgrade's not super common since Prowess units usually have more health than shields, but I like it in this situation if you can do it right. But this setup at the front doesn't really look too crackable. However, this map does open some opportunities with those rocks.
Well, he's actually added like a lot of gateways. He's up to 7 gates, I believe, right now, and that's going to be a lot of units for this attack.
Mine up top picks off. Oh, almost gets something.
And it looks like he will be able to pick off that mine. Does have this Oracle to spot everything up there. Going to be a pretty difficult defense here for MMA. This is a scary army.
Yeah. Keep in mind that with that sentry, with the sentries he's warped in, if he tries to blink up this ramp or if he gets them close enough, he can try to force field off these chokes. Even this choke by the factory, he can cut units off, and it looked like the sentry was trying to move up a bit there to do that.
In fact, he might go ahead and do that. Nope, looks like, oh my God.
Yes, he will. He force fields the natural off from the main and only has to handle just that bunker with 2 Marauders, and now MMA's like, well, I want to just drop down into my natural, but Very, very nice army movement by Patience, not allowing him to get in that position. He's still in a very awkward spot because if Patience sits here too long, these Warpins coming in to help, once he gets down this ramp, like, he can lift this command center and still collapse on this Protoss army very quickly.
You know, these Stalkers aren't actually doing very much work over behind the minerals here, and he's lost his sentries. So, yeah, he has to blink out here. He has to retreat.
Another force blinks into the main base at the same time. That Widowmine makes a mincemeat of one Stalker so far. And he's doing job pulling the army around. He's just playing around with lots of gateway units. Blinks down the ramp, though, into Marauders, and MMA starting to get some really sexy trades.
He is, but we do have, you know, a few medevacs going down, a few units here and there. The supply actually staying reasonably close between the two players, but he does have to be careful. These Widow Mines are recharging right now. There is stim, there is +1 on these Marauders, so definitely very hard to attack into them.
Yeah, this force is very strong, very well-rounded. Like, you have your stim, you have your Marauders, you have your medevacs, and these are things that all deal very, very well with the Stalkers. And every time he blinks up like this, Widow Mine just like, boop, one less Stalker for sure.
Yeah, a lot less shields as well. He is trying to pick off these Marauders, but it looks like MMA is just going to overwhelm at this point. Still, he's blinking around, trying to get the best trades he possibly can, really showing the power of Blink Stalker play. Yeah. But at the same time, you know, MMA is gaining a big supply lead.
Feels like we're watching these guys play from back last year. Artosis, the Blink Stalkers, except this isn't Yansu, man. You're not going to be able to kill the Terran that easily.
Well, it looks like Patience does have to run now. I want to say he did some damage, and he did, but he really took more damage than he dealt, losing that many sentries, losing that much Stalkers. He has no real upgrades.
So far behind, with the upgrades, especially this Dark Shrine is, you know, this is his last-ditch effort. And I'd be kind of surprised if it worked.
You know, the one thing that we can say is that both players are still just mining from 2 bases, so that's, you know, Patience. If there was already a third up for MMA, you may as well leave the game, but he's going to stay. He's going to try to take a 3rd base right now. He still has the Blink Stalkers and a good pylon spread, so he kind of knows what's coming where. Maybe he can catch a medevac, maybe he can have some fancy micro and hold everything off and get that damage done with this very gateway-centric army.
Yeah, and I mean, moving into charge with the way that he was set up, he had a lot of minerals banked, so not a terrible way to spend his money. But still, there's nothing that actually deals with this with an equally upgraded bio ball of the same size compared to Gateway. Like, his army's just more cost effective. That's how Terran works. Without Colossi or Storm, I'm really, really concerned for how Patience is supposed to defend. Like, these DTs, they need to win him the game pretty much right now.
Yeah, you are right. We'll see if they can do so.
He's warping the first one in. He can't even afford that many. Actually, he's supply blocked because his pylons got picked off, so he's building 4 right now. So even only being able to get 1 DT makes it a hell of a lot easier for him to defend. Well,
another problem is there's 2 turrets in the natural, so it's going to be pretty difficult. But he might be able to skirt around. We'll see about that. He does have charge. He does have a good amount of zealots at the moment.
Oh, he actually stepped in vision of it. Backs away. He actually does slip inside, but at the same time, he's pressuring this 3rd, and there are a lot of zealots.
Yeah, he might actually be able to do something.
He's got
not
Widow
a good
Mines in
force
the back
field.
too, so once these zealots get a little bit close, peels off quite a few of their shields as well. And he's still putting on this pressure. That Dark Templar has made it into the main base mineral line. A scan, and he should be able to kill it off, so it's finally dealt with. But the Bio Army, with how little energy is on just this one medevac, like not even healing this force, Patience is actually pushing this away for now, and even blinking aggressively on top of these Marauders because he knows if he can get enough momentum, perhaps he can swing things the other way.
Yeah, you crush a couple armies like this, and suddenly you're in the lead again in a matchup like this. So we'll see what else he can get done. Looks like he has to pull back for now. He needs to start mining. Widow Mines climbing all over the place, and just now starting the Robo.
Yeah, the mobile detection has been a problem this game, being forced to use his oracles. He does still have that oracle sitting just northeast of the natural expansion of MMA, but hasn't really been a factor in this game for the last few minutes. And I do love this. Like, MMA recognizes, like, well, what's strong about this army is that you have a lot of zealots, and I can build Widow Mines, which are pretty damn good against those.
Well, he is warping in another DT now, seeing if he can get some additional damage done. The Oracle is circling around as well. See, I wonder if that's going back for detection. It looks like he's going back to his main base, but he's going to have an observer out about the same time. I'd really like to see him try to get some more SCVs somewhere. He needs to get more damage done on MMA.
Yeah, MMA's 3rd base getting hit by this a little bit. Some more. I got Patience is like 4 Arc Templar at his 3rd base, ready to defend as well. This DT shouldn't be too much longer for this world. And now that he has his missile turret up, he should be okay. This Widow Mine, it's up 5 kills now. Not doing too bad for itself.
You know, this game is kind of down and dirty, been a little bit sloppy with the crazy aggression that Patience has been putting on.
11 Widow Mines for MMA on the map.
Oh my God.
Like Zealots, what are those? He's got 40 supply of Zealots that are absolutely worthless against this army right now.
Well, that is a lot of Widow Mines. We'll see if he can actually hold this off. Does charge in here, and those Widow Mines, oh my God, just brutal. And all those Widow Mines do go off. The Zealots are gone. He does have Guardian Shields. He does have Archons here, but I don't think it's going to matter. The kiting is going to destroy everything.
Yeah, I mean, this setup, this position, the way he used these Widow Mines are the reason why we don't see Zealot Archon strategies from Protoss players. You need Colossi, you need Storm to handle this, or at least something with that little bit more range to keep those Widow Mines away from you. And he just didn't have it this game. MMA is continuing to hammer him down, and just Stalkers are not going to be enough. He continues to scan. The DTs are being warped in to try to help against this as well. So he's getting a little bit here and there, but there the scans are, and that's pretty much it here for Patience.
Those DT warp-ins were the last-ditch effort for Patience, and GG is called a 2-1 lead for MMA.
Not too bad. Very shaky start to that game. Sloppy play from MMA, then sloppy play from Patience.
Yeah.
And then it kind of flip-flopped back and forth right up until Patience had this big push at the natural, and then he like jumped behind the mineral line, and you kind of said it best, like, yeah, the SCVs ran away, he wasn't mining, but he didn't actually kill anything, and he lost all of his sentries. So MMA cleaned that up, and then he had enough momentum going forward to just kind of carry the game from that point on.
Well, it was very well played. I feel like MMA is adapting very well to the type of mindset that Patience has in this series. We see Patience really trying to mix it up, trying to use various strategies, do a bit of damage early on. Obviously, he can play a reasonable macro game, but if he doesn't get that early damage, MMA is just going to overwhelm.
Yeah, really tough spot to be in now for Patience as we're moving on to Catalina.
This map.
This is the map of dreams for Terran Aggression versus Protoss, and I guess it's just the part where, you know, I my little asterisk, I'm like, can also be suitable for blink play when done right.
That's true. That is a fact. And in fact, I'm trying to think back to all the top level PVTs I've actually seen on this map, which isn't that many because they like to veto it quite often.
Yes.
But it is definitely a map where I think almost every game I've seen has either been Colossus all in on 2 base or Blink all in on 1 or 2 base. It seems to be the only real way to play it, because otherwise you're going to get picked apart here.
Yeah, I really like that you mentioned that as far as the vetoes go, because the veto trends for, like, when this map pool was released, everyone was like, Foxtrot's really weird, veto that, Deadwing's weird with rocks, veto that. It was like, Catalina, yeah, it's okay, maybe people still do some of those 11 Barracks Reaper openings and get tricky, but like, it slowly became like, actually Catalina's really good for that late game drop play. There's so much airspace, and that southeast spawn is absolutely terrible.
You can't do anything against Terran there. The medevac's just coming from all sides. They're warping in from the 4th dimension to drop you on that spot, man. Thumbs that down if you're a Protoss.
Yeah. It's not a fun place to be, is our point. And really all you have as a Protoss player on this map are your Colossi pushes, because I guess the natural is, you know, there's a bit of a choke there. It makes force fields a bit easier, and that main cliff to the 3rd base, or, you know, your potential 4th where you can blink up in the early game, that's the kind of play I'm expecting out of Patience. I'm really not sure what else he does on this map.
No, I'm totally with you. He is going to go either Colossus all in or Blink all in. I don't like anything else here. Like, I guess he could, to try to trick MMA here, go for something like, you could go like Oracle into Phoenixes or something to try to stop drops, but that's so hard here still. And
even Classic tried to do builds like that, and against MMA, he fell flat on his face. So it's definitely one of those. This is one of those maps he really needs to make a miracle happen, guys. It's 2-1 in favor of this guy, spawning in the top position of Catalina. Our red Terran player, 1 map went away from moving on. He is Acer's MMA. Playing pretty sloppy. Actually, both of these players throughout this series have been quite a scrappy fest. And this guy needs to win 2 games in a row now if he wants to keep his Dreamhack Winter hopes alive. From Team Dead Pixels, he is Patience.
All right. We'll see. I think MMA just has to be on top of his scouting. He has to know, is this a Colossus all-in, is this a Blink all-in, or is this something really weird?
And to back to our point right before this game started, Patience does have arguably the worst spawn you can get on this map. In the bottom right position, you know, if we pan out past the mineral line, there's a huge amount of airspace, and we saw even in the TVT series yesterday, the Banshees being tucked behind there. There's just, you know, there's actually, I mean, you look at it, it's pretty much an ocean of space, and there's that, you know, there's a huge body of water there too. So
yeah, quite literally, it's an ocean of space. It's there is so much room back there that, I mean, if you're in a base trade, man, you better have enough money to build a Phoenix.
Yeah, this is not one of those maps, man. There's no that weird one spot where the Stalker can go put itself to kill stuff. And I'm mostly curious now from MMA's side of things if we're actually going to see a barracks opening out of him. It's like, yeah, he opened up Reaper, right? He has his barracks, but mostly he's been going into factory play to some extent, be it that little Hellion run by or going for the Widowmine drop. But he actually really seems to like this style, and the way that he did it the last map was a little bit like how he played versus Stardust in the Fragmite Masters. Just, I have really late stim, I have a really late extra barracks, but the few units I have, I'm going to constantly throw at you and keep you in your base. It's a way that, like, if you're a Protoss player that's not experienced with dealing with that type of play, I feel like it's very easy to fall apart.
You know, that's a very good point. We've seen in the past from some players, like, for instance, MVP comes to mind just a little bit where, you know, the prevailing theory is oftentimes like, oh, okay, I'm better than my opponent, I should play like a long defensive macro game and outplay him. But some Terran players in the past have decided, you know what, if I'm just a little bit aggressive, I can just pick them apart like that, and that's even going to be safer than trying to play safe.
Yeah. It's kind of funny how the meta game for all of that has rotated around in the last year or so. You had Terran players like, Photon Overcharge, I can't possibly attack into that. And now it's like, well, actually, with the way that a lot of these ramps work, those combat shield pushes, concussive shell pushes got super popular after we moved on to this map pool in particular. And then now it's kind of tapered out a bit, and Terran's like, well, I can still do drop play, which is still quite strong, and that's never really died down, especially in MMA's playbook.
Oh, certainly not. And once again, we are going to see that, no doubt. He is making his factory already here. Patience with a couple gases, not really giving anything away about what he wants to do, and a Robo goes up, so I'm going to go ahead and call, we're going to see a Colossus all in, but will it be the one with the Warp Prism? That one's fun.
I would like to see that. I mean, immediately gives me nightmares thinking back to those PVT series at BlizzCon. Classic Colossus dropping versus Terran. He has, you know, absolutely no fear whatsoever, and I think we even saw that in one of those games in San Jakshi. So it apparently can work. It's not the kind of strategy that I'd call for, but MMA, if he were to get this Reaper in, if he were to scan, he really wouldn't see anything too shocking just yet.
You know, even the thing is with that Robo timing, that's not even, it's not even weird. You know, he could go into a macro game with a Robo timing like that. So
it lines up with enough gas to start an Observer in his robotic space. That's kind of what I'm expecting to see here. This Reaper will get picked off. Nice and comforting. It's okay. He shouldn't be able to see anything without having to burn his scan. And yeah, just waiting for that robotic spade to get plopped down. I think it's probably one of the strongest plays you can make on this map. Already even getting his pylon ready on the east side.
Oh man, pretty obvious what's going on here in Nathanios. But we do have MMA getting that first medevac out. He does have one Widowmine, second one on the way, quite a few Marines as well. So he should be able to poke in and maybe start to read what's going on, especially if he flies over that pylon.
Yeah, that'd be a really great pickup for him. I'm kind of surprised. Patience has built up a nice little gas bank, still has not yet started a robotics bay. He's going to just warp in a few more stalkers forward. He's just actually trying to get the Observer out as a counterplay to the Widowmine drop. He's not even thinking about that 10-minute mark.
Wow, yeah, I guess you're actually kind of right about this. And in fact, oh, wow. Oh, my God. This is actually an extremely old build. Right now, we are going to see aggression on both sides. Oh, a huge mistake. A huge mistake there. And
the Widowmine actually burrows itself in the main, and it might be able to fire before this gets off.
Oh, he went after the gas probe. Yeah, it is a dud, in fact. And it looks like he will start pushing up right now with these Stalkers. This is a super old build that we're seeing going for this 3-gate Stalker aggression against a tech build. And, getting the Observer is huge.
Yeah, nice. Being able to deny that high ground vision. And he's still in the natural expansion with these Marines just firing away. And he's building a siege tank. Yeah. And this is actually, you know, so good for MMA because there's no blink. So he can try to run past this, which I guess is like one way to handle it. But MMA will eventually build up enough units that he's going to try to dive on this. And he's actually said to himself, okay, well, I actually think he might be able to break me. This is getting increasingly tricky here. I'm really interested in how Patience is going to make this work. MMA still, by the way, killing his natural expansion. That tank is almost ready.
That's right. The tank is going to be absolutely gigantic. He should be able to get enough units on that high ground. This Nex is probably going to be falling down. I mean, he has to go all in with this at this point, Patience does.
Yeah, I like this. He's not rushing to siege the tank, but the Stalkers are going to try to just snipe it.
He needs to snipe that, actually. A little bit missed microed here.
Nice pick up there with the medevac, and the SCVs get under repair. And it's like, yeah, you might run up and snipe this, but you're still going to lose a lot of your hit points in return. Having that pylon there, though, is...
it's huge.
Yeah, it's very important. Otherwise, he could just collapse on this, break out of the bunkers, bring his SCVs, kill all the Stalkers, and then he'd be way, way ahead because he's killed the natural of Patience. Patience is on. He's a one-base Protoss, and that's not a fun place to be when the Terran's hiding behind bunkers and has that second command center just waiting.
Certainly it is not, but without Blink here, and the fact that he has medevacs and another siege tank on the way, I feel like breaking the actual ramp is going to be
borderline
not
impossible.
A good idea.
Yeah, like he's also too Stalker heavy. These SCVs are way more effective than they should normally be against a gateway attack like this. The medevac has brought back more forces. He's like, yeah, I'm just going to try to kill you right now. And these Stalkers, like you said, without Blink, and especially without anywhere to run, are all going to be cornered. The Zealot warp in, okay, it's cute, but he still has, I think, an overwhelming number of forces to take care of this with.
Well, it looks like that's it. GG MMA gonna go ahead and take the series 3-1. You know, it looked kind of bad there, I guess, but the theory behind the build that Patience just did, I think it's totally fine. Like, MMA's always going tech. If you go 3-gate Stalker with an Observer against tech, and you get there before the bunkers, which he was there, but he was too busy at home microing to execute it. But if he had just focused on that, he would have broke those bunkers and had a better spot. Maybe not broke him.